Dinosaur, written by Stephen Llewelyn and performed by Chris Barrie. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and click the notification bell to keep up to date with the latest installments.
The door chimed. Hero slept. Dr. Flanagan had forced him to take another day off, and although he hated to admit it, he was absolutely exhausted after his recent trials. The door chimed again. It couldn't possibly be for him, he registered blearily. He was merely dreaming. The third chime was followed by banging and someone shouting, "Hero, let me in!" The engineer groaned, pulling the duvet of denial up over his head. But this only led to more banging and shouting. "Hero!" After this last cannonade on his door, he let go a long string of invective in his native Japanese. "What is it?" the engineer managed to call out at last. He was now irrevocably awake and far enough back into the real world to recognize the voice as Giorgio's. "Let me in!" Despite being muffled by the door, Hero could clearly tell his colleague was agitated or excited about something. Wrapping the duvet around his body like a comfort blanket, he staggered towards the door, stepping on some nameless object left on the floor as he went. His wordless primal cry gradually coalesced into another stream of oaths as he hopped the last few steps to admit his friend. The door had barely begun to slide open when Giorgio flew past him through the crack. "What the hell is it?" the chief snapped crossly. His foul temper was completely wasted on the exuberant Italian, however, so much so that he began to wonder if his only remaining subordinate may have been imbibing. Finally, Giorgio calmed down enough to speak. "Hero, I've spoken to him." "Well, he's spoken to me anyway." "That's fantastic," replied Hero sourly. "Put it in a full report and give it to me, I don't know, next year or something," he added, rubbing sleep out of his eyes. "No, you don't understand," cried Giorgio, laughing. "It was Mario." "Eh?" asked Hero, becoming concerned. Giorgio was nodding vigorously now. "Mario, he spoke to me." He grabbed his friend and superior officer, dancing him around in circles. Hero had a simple choice: keep hold of his duvet and end up on the floor in a heap, or let it go and be danced around in his boxers. He can hardly be said to have made the dignified choice, but at least he remained on his feet. "What are you talking about?" he stammered, as he was bounced around the room. "Stop! Stop! Let me get my trousers, and then we can sit down and you can tell me what's happened." A minute later, they faced one another across the small dining table in the chief's quarters. "I'd offer you a drink, but that would only encourage you to stay." "Well, tell me then," Hero asked, terse and red-eyed, doing his best to ignore the elephant Giorgio had introduced into the room. "I went to see Beck." Hero looked blank, so Giorgio tried again. "Beck? The medium?" "Medium what?" "Ha ha ha, that's really funny. The old ones are always the best, no?" laughed Giorgio, his giddiness emphasizing his slight accent. "Funny?" asked Hero, mystified. "Oh, you're serious?" said Giorgio, his enthusiasm slipping slightly. "Beck is a medium, you know, talks to ghosts and spirits, yes?" he explained, waving his hands around, gesturing spookily. Hero stared at his friend askance. "Have you been hitting the bottle again? I know it's hard for you." "No!" Giorgio laughed again. "It was really him, Hero. He spoke to me through her." "Really?" remarked Hero doubtfully, his misgiving so forceful that it shoved the elephant back outside. "And what did he say?" Giorgio waved away his friend's suspicion. "Mario told me that you were his very dear friend, and that I should put any doubts aside that you had anything to do with what happened to him," he imparted a little more seriously. Hero raised his eyebrows, completely taken aback. "Really?" Giorgio nodded earnestly. "He also said that Jeff genuinely didn't intend what happened." For the first time, a shadow crossed the young man's face. "He said I should forgive him as he's forgiven him. That Jeff's been really upset about causing Mario's death. He just can't show it. He doesn't know how." You really believe this? Asked Hero, his skepticism impossible to hide.
Yes, of course, don't you?
Giorgio looked disappointed. Hero simply stared in silence for a moment, chewing his lip.
I know that look, said Giorgio. Doubting like Thomas, as the English say, yes?
Actually, at the moment, I think I could teach Thomas a thing or two. Look, Georgie, I know it's been hard. I remember when I lost my brother, Ito. But this?
No, listen, there's more, continued Giorgio. He told me I must forgive Jeff. It's important. He said it was really important to my future.
What's that supposed to mean?
I don't know.
Can you do it?
Do what?
Forgive him. Giorgio sat in silence, searching for the answer.
I can try,
he acknowledged at last.
If it was an accident, I mean. I suppose I must try, if Mario tells me I need to.
If it was an accident? Hero repeated angrily, slamming his fist down on the table. He blew our damn ship up.
But he didn't intend to hurt anyone, Hero.
Hero blew out his cheeks, reinflating the elephant between them, which subsequently began trumpeting around the room again. Despite this, he could commiserate with his friend's state of mind, from personal experience, so he spoke carefully. I'm very happy for you, if you can find forgiveness for that man, Georgie, he began gently. But I still don't trust him. Will never trust him again. He killed one of my best friends, hurt Sekai, and tried to blame it all on me. As for all this with Mario, well, I just don't know.
Jeff is going to do something important, Hero.
Bacchini studied his superior officer and best friend in the whole new world for a moment, adding solemnly,
I know he is. Mario told me.
Hero wore an expression of sympathy, but decided the situation needed nipping in the bud before it turned the younger man's head altogether. So what, you think he's going to save us all? Do something wildly heroic in spite of himself at the very end? From a prison cell? Hero could feel his exasperation rising, so he tried again, putting it in the terms that one geek might use to another. Georgie, he's bad news. Bad all the way to the end. This is Jeff we're talking about, not Gollum. Can you tell me what I'm seeing? 'Cause I know what it looks like, but I can't believe it. Singh turned to his captain in awe.
The computer has cross-referenced everything we have in our library from the fossil record. Everything. Including the much more in-depth research notes from Tim's personal files.
He placed his hands together, almost prayer-like as he pondered.
It's not a couple of parallel millipede tracks, I can tell you that, he said at last. In fact, Michelin tracks might be closer to the mark.
But, tried Jim Miller.
They are fossilized in stone, yes.
Singh finished the sentence for him.
It must be some sort of weird geological anomaly, Portree chipped in. Surely?
You ever seen anything like this before?
Asked Singh, turning to face her.
No,
she admitted weakly.
These are very old tire tracks from an off-road vehicle, Singh continued. Certainly not a bicycle either. From the size of the tracks, depth and the gauge, it was probably from a 2 or 3 ton machine. Something about the size of an erotic violence, perhaps.
The captain's ears channeled the words into his mind, where they ran a search through his memory, finally picketing just outside his understanding.
A what?
He claimed. Singh nodded matter-of-factly.
Yes, haven't you been home for a while, Captain? Most people can't afford to drive anymore, and the roads are jammed anyway. However, in India, we still know how to build automatically piloted 4x4s for the British executive classes. Market research over the last 100 years has led us to give successive models ever more evocative names, making them sound more more sexy.
Really? Douglas commented, with about as much interest as one might expect to find accruing in a young working adult's savings account.
Of course, that's progress, although I don't really see what's sexy about a 2-ton off-roader myself, he added thoughtfully. But it's amazing what imagery you can conjure up if you buy an empty-headed celebrity and put their name to your product, he rallied. Perhaps give them a flashy title like design consultant, and bang! You've got another winner. We've been doing it for years. The new Erotic Violence All-Road has sold off the scale, apparently. A Yah of mine heads the worldwide sales team, you see. His name is Bupati, and he's a jolly good chap.
Douglas leaned back in his chair and slowly rubbed a hand down his face, holding onto his chin as he sighed patiently.
It's very clever stuff, this micro-marketing,
Singh prattled on, distracted as he often did when skirting the delivery of worrying news.
Did you know that in the north of England it was going to be rebadged as the Erotic Violence Any Road? Bupati really knows his stuff. Apparently, that campaign failed in the north, though. It transpired that they weren't all that interested in the automatic drinks dispenser or the drive me to a 5-star restaurant feature. All they seemed to care about was, will it start in cold mornings and will it pull beast out to bog? Being a Yah, he got me a great deal on some shares. In fact, I remember Bupati saying...
Douglas felt the need to break in before his sanity unravelled altogether. Your little asides always fascinate me, Sandeep. But what the hell was it doing here? He said, working himself up from a snipe to a ball as he jabbed his finger at the display. He calmed again, adding thoughtfully, and when? And where could this vehicle have possibly come from? Added Portree. Singh opened his mouth to answer, but Douglas cut him off crossly. If you say Surrey, so help me.
No, Captain.
Singh held his hands up.
I was going to say it came from the past. Hard to say for sure how far back, using remote scans anyway. We'll need to get down there and take samples to be precise. However, the initial sensor analysis suggests the mudstone in which the tracks are fossilized is around 20 million years old.
Well, that puts the cat well and truly among the pterosaurs, Miller remarked. Doesn't it?
They looked from one to another for a moment, each hoping that someone, anyone, would have at least a theory which might begin to explain all this. The shuttle hovered on autopilot, allowing Singh to query the computer, the sudden, wordless silence broken only by the manic clatter of fingers across a keyboard. Eventually he sat back, rubbing his chin. Sandy, Douglas prompted.
There's something else, sir, he said, quietly contemplative. I've focused our full scanning suite on the area of interest. Just below the surface of the rock, I'm reading bones. Fossilized bones, naturally.
Bones will have been getting themselves fossilized for hundreds of millions of years before the Cretaceous, Douglas stated, looking to Tim for confirmation. Surely.
Quite right, Captain, Tim agreed. Finding fossilized bones in this period should be no surprise. All waiting to be discovered by us 100 million years from now.
So, Singh countered, turning in his seat once more to face Tim directly. Just out of curiosity, would you expect human remains from a death occurring approximately 120 million years before man to turn up here then?
Douglas took the shuttle crew to the bridge of the New World immediately upon their return and called a meeting with Baines, Patel, and Mother Sarah. Singh ran through their findings, quickly leading up to their shocking discovery. Douglas edited with a nudge back on track here and there. At last, they all sat in silence, attempting to digest what they had learned. Samantha Portree was first to speak.
Clearly someone has been here before us. The geology can't lie.
But how's that possible? Asked Baines. Wasn't it a 1,000,000,000 to 1 chance that brought us here? I think, said Douglas wearily, that we may have to send a team out there to dig the site and bring the remains back to our labs. Perhaps we'll know more then. Clearly, being lost 100 million years ago is not as weird as it gets. Turns out there's more.
Can we do that, James?
Asked Sarah.
Wouldn't it be dangerous to have people on the ground out there?
Aye, it would, replied Douglas. But I think we have to chance it. We've no idea what this could mean, what the ramifications might be. Fortunately, most of the animals ran from the sound of the shuttle as we approached, so hopefully we can use that to keep them away. Also, the creatures we saw in the forest appeared a wee bit more manageable, in terms of size at least. We'll take an armed team and plenty of those, what did Gleason call them? Dingo wingers.
It seems the larger predators stick to the plains and forest edges, said Tim. I expected that to be the case. The denser foliage further in would restrict their movement too much. We'd be very unlucky to find any larger animals so deep, Captain, but we must take great care nevertheless. Some of the hunters in the forest could still be deadly to us, even poisonous for all we know.
What can you tell us about the smaller predators? Asked Baines.
Dromaeosaurids, Tim provided helpfully. Very good, Commander. Those or other similar dinosaur families may well be there, but I'm guessing.
So there might be nothing like that there? Asked Douglas hopefully.
I doubt that, Captain, said Tim. If there's a niche, an animal will rise to fill it. That's Darwinism 101, really. I recommend we prepare for the worst. Our ground team should expect small, extremely fast and very aggressive predators, sir. Quite deadly. I suggest Kevlar suits, Heath riflesons, stun grenades, everything we have to throw at them, and then just pray we don't need any of it, he finished quietly.
I was thinking, chipped in Jim Miller. We can very quickly and easily knock together some riot shields as well, Captain. I can set the machine up to make a mould and have them with you in, say, a couple of hours.
Douglas nodded. That's good thinking. Any other ideas? He asked, looking around the table. Tim raised a hand. Douglas nodded for him to speak.
Just a thought.
The young man spoke hesitantly.
But couldn't we make a shield to cover the entire dig?
That's interesting, Tim, acknowledged Miller. What did you have in mind?
What about something like a large, reinforced tent?
Tim asked, continuing with a little more confidence.
It could even have steel reinforcement bands moulded into walls made from a polymer that's clear one way, opaque the other. That would allow the people to see out, but not let the animals see in, providing fewer disturbances. It would possibly cut down on UV too, wouldn't it? So the diggers don't get cooked. Add ventilation points and... well, that's it, really.
He waited for their reaction. I can tell you're Patricia's laddie, Douglas remarked appreciatively. He looked back to Miller. I'm guessing this will take a wee bit longer, Jim. Miller nodded assent.
Probably 4 or 5 days to design and build, Captain, but we can do it,
he stated assuredly.
We have all the plant and supplies we need for this.
Excellent, said Douglas. Now, we can't land there, so everything is going to have to go up and down on ropes and pulleys through the shuttle's belly hatch. There will certainly be an element of peril, but I hope that the roar of the engines will scare away most of the wildlife, at least during the most dangerous times of loading and unloading. The shuttle will have to drop the team and retreat to the New World for safety. I don't think we dare put down out there. We just don't know enough about what we're up against yet, and should the shuttle be damaged or destroyed, it would be an irreplaceable loss. The comm binged for attention. Douglas activated it from a flush control panel set within the conference table.
Captain, it's Jackson.
The voice came from all points via sound plates built into the fabric of the meeting room. Go ahead, Sarge.
Sir, I received a report of a large smokestack to the north. As we've got teams outside in diggers, I've stationed myself by one of the high-level viewports to take a look, and there does indeed appear to be a large forest fire some miles off. I don't know whether this will be a threat to the ship, but I thought I'd better let you know.
Thank you, Sarge. Could you guess at the distance? Asked Douglas.
4, maybe 5 miles, sir.
Stay on channel, Sarge. Douglas swapped his attention to the people around the table. Could this be a threat to us, do you think? I suppose it would depend on the size of the blaze, the direction of the wind, that type of thing, hazarded Patel cautiously. A major forest fire could engulf the entire region. The weather is hot, and there has been no further rainfall since the night of our arrival. Do we know if this dry spell is set to continue? Asked Baines.
The New World has a basic atmospheric and meteorological suite, said Singh. Shall I go next door and pull up the results?
Douglas nodded for Singh to leave, saying, Jim, Satnam, if we are going to be here for a while, would it be possible to build a wee satellite and send it up into a geosynchronous orbit to keep an eye on things for us? We could always move it if we relocate. Patel and Miller nodded to one another. That sounds sensible, James, said Patel. We can borrow a lot of the design from the systems built into the ship. With a full sensor suite as well, it could be very useful indeed. Perhaps it could even spot signs of Schultz.
Actually, I may have some very good news on that front, said Miller. We have a small communications satellite on board already.
Really? Asked Douglas, pleased to receive positive news for a change.
Yes, Mars has... will have?
Miller smiled, confusing his tenses and himself.
I'll start again. When we left, Mars had a satellite in orbit already. The problem was, with 4 townships spread around the planet, the coverage wasn't great, and the residents were getting pretty cheesed off with the constant comms blackouts. NASA very kindly gave Sam Burton a second one, which is safely packed away in the pod cargo bay. With a few additions like cameras, extra sensors, and a meteorological suite, we should be good to go. Probably take about a week or so to prep it, I'm guessing. Then the shuttle can run it up into orbit, and Bob's your uncle.
Mankind's finest hour, said Baines darkly.
Jill?
Asked Douglas. We've been here all of a few days, and we're building a spy satellite.
Think of it as a weather balloon,
replied Douglas wryly. With teeth.
That could be a great asset, Captain.
The Sarge's voice came through the speakers again.
And would really help us keep track of everybody as we start to send out exploration teams, I mean.
See? Douglas winked at Baines. It's search and rescue now as well. Just like a big cuddly teddy bear in the sky. I don't know what sort of teddy bear you were given as a baby, retorted Baines. Mine was called Flopsy, and he would have made a rubbish spy. How so? Asked Douglas, taking the bait. He only had one ear. The Sarge coughed politely and said,
About this fire, sir.
Quite right, Sarge, Douglas acknowledged. What do we think, people?
Captain?
Yes, Tim.
When we came back in the shuttle, I couldn't help noticing the digger drivers were out again.
That's right, Baines answered. Natalie reported that the Maposaurs had made another kill and were sleeping it off. The construction team were keen to go, and as Dr. Portree was with you, they came to me for permission to take the machinery out. Why, do you see a problem? Tim thought for a moment.
Sergeant Jackson?
He asked.
Yes, Mr. Norris.
Would you say that the fire is heading this way?
The wind is blowing the stack this way, yes. It's difficult to say whether the fire has grown as such. Please bear with me a second.
The channel went still for a few heartbeats.
I'm just looking through my electro-binoculars, and yes, it does seem to have grown a little. I'm not sure if that means it's bigger or closer, though.
And the wind is blowing it towards the ship?
Asked Tim to clarify.
Yes, sir. It appears so.
Tim frowned, contemplating, not noticing the soldier's courtesy to a civilian, even a young one.
Captain,
he said at last,
I would recall those digger crews immediately.
What's your thinking, Tim? Asked Douglas.
Whether the fire is a threat to us or not, it may flush the animals this way. As we saw from the shuttle, there are some huge plains out there, much bigger than the clearing we landed in, all separated by bits of forest and interconnected by many animal thoroughfares.
What are you saying? Asked Baines.
I'm saying, Tim clarified, that who knows what might come flying out of those trees in panic. If they run straight into our digger teams, look, I don't know anything for sure, but terrified animals are best given a wide berth, that's all.
Especially if they can knock earth movers over without breaking step. Baines couldn't help but jump to the logical conclusion.
Tim's right, agreed Douglas, recalling his own close encounter with a running Maposaurus bull. Call them back in, Jill, and tell them to hurry. I don't want to take any chances. Maybe we can carry on with the building tomorrow.
Captain, said Singh, stepping back into the meeting room, there's a large weather system forming to the east out at sea. We've got no real way of knowing whether it will come this way or disperse altogether, though. We'll have to keep an eye on it. As far as we can see for now, the weather on top of us looks fairly stable.
No rain to put the fire out, then? Asked Douglas.
Doesn't look like it, Captain, Singh replied. But it could still change quickly. In fact, it might get pretty wild here. We don't have enough information to build any kind of picture yet.
Perhaps our new satellite will help with that, stated Douglas with satisfaction.
Satellite?
Asked the pilot, optimistically jumping ahead to triangulate his future.
Can we have 2?
Woodsy, Rose, Clarissa, and Henry until so recently known as Hank, waited in the mud hole for the intrepid explorer's return. The shuttle had docked with the New World over an hour ago, but still no Tim.
"Do you think he's all right?"
Clarissa worried.
"He could have been eaten."
Woodsy feigned concern.
Hey, you're right, Clary,
he agreed.
It could take days before they find enough remains to hold a funeral.
"OMG, what do you mean?"
Clarissa cried out, covering her mouth with her hands in shock.
Well, the T-Rex will have to digest them first, and I've noticed there's quite a lot of bone on that kid. Then it'll have to go to the dunny, won't it?
Grinned Woodsy. Eek! Squeaked Clarissa. Don't listen to him, Clary. Big brother Henry came to the rescue. Tim's just done something momentous. There's bound to be some kind of debriefing procedure or something.
Really?
Asked Woodsy innocently.
They'll be taking his kicks off?
Rose laughed.
"You're terrible," she accused Woodsy. "What do you think they found?"
Woodsy looked around, making sure they weren't overheard as he drew everyone in close and secret.
Well, there was talk, he whispered, about buried treasure.
Rose took a sharp intake of breath.
"Really?"
she asked, wide-eyed.
"Like gold in the rocks or the river?"
"Woodsy, will you cut it out?" snapped Henry. Woodsy burst out laughing.
You know, you're getting old before your time, mate. There are too many women in your life.
Well, with your pick-up lines, that's never going to happen to you, is it? Henry retorted, making them all laugh. I wish he'd hurry, though. I'm dying to know what they've seen.
Yeah,
said Woodsy.
I can't wait to see the film they promised us. I mean, we've all seen monster movies, but to have it all just outside the door, wow.
"Do you think they'll ever let us outside?"
asked Rose. Of course they will, said Henry. When it's safe.
"I don't want to go out,"
said Clarissa.
"Not with monsters out there."
Henry gave Woodsy a thump on the shoulder. See what you done now?
Hey,
Woodsy cried out, scandalized.
It's not my fault. I didn't put 'em out there.
You're the one calling 'em monsters, putting a stupid idea into her head, Henry said hotly.
Putting an idea into her head?
Woodsy threw the words back, eyebrows shooting up in disbelief.
Well, someone had to put one in, mate. It's hardly standing room only in there, is it?
Look, said Henry.
Look,
said Rose, pointing.
It's Tim,
shouted Clarissa, and the squabble completely evaporated as they jumped out of their usual seats to surround the conquering hero, assaulting him with questions.
Dinosaur, written by Stephen Llewelyn and performed by Chris Barrie. New installments uploaded each week. Subscribe for more. Visit the link in the description for free New World companion stories, available for download as ebooks.